my colleagues. We are going to have a seminar, or rather interactive session with Professor Lakwinder Singh, currently professor at Thapar School of Liberal Arts and Science in Patiala. Of course, he has numerous credentials to his account as an academician. And very often, with respect to some people, I often say that there are people who can feel happy at the almost fag end of their service, that very rarely people can feel that I have accomplished all what I'm expected to. He had his initial innings in Delhi University, then NIPFP, then in Punjab University, Punjab, where he was the director of Center for Development Economics and Innovation Studies. As an academician, he is a much loved teacher, published widely. In fact, he has sent a number of students to CDS after doing their masters over there, and they are all holding positions higher than our levels. So that is what a teacher always takes pride in. If you feel that your students are done better than you, it's a matter that, okay, you have done a good job. That is the indicator how good a teacher you are. And as a teacher, as an academic in terms of writing books and articles, I think he has done enormously well. And his ability to get things done is, I myself had the opportunity to work with him at least on 2 books. He gets things done. And he's a wonderful, and he has started a journal, is doing Q1 journal from Sage Publications now. And he has his international standing in terms of visiting positions in various universities. And all what an academician can aspire of, he has been able to aspire. And we have also offered him the honorary position here. I'm very happy that Professor Lakwinder is here. And he is going to talk something very close to our heart. The title of the lecture is Fiscal Federalism and Development Dynamics, Punjab and Kerala Perspective. And you know that I am not here to talk long about fiscal federalism and the challenges and how fiscal federalism today in India is at a crossroad, and how has various changes in the recent past, like FRBM, how 73rd and 74 amendment, and also, for example, final episode of GST, how it has undermined, or rather changed, I don't want to say undermined, the changed fiscal federalism, which was conceived more like a cooperative federalism to more like a coercive federalism or subordinated federalism. I would say that with the GST, there are reasons to believe that the states have lost a lot. In fact, we were discussing in the room just 5 minutes before, saying that how the states lost and what could be the form and content of a GST architecture that respects fiscal federalism is something which we have to think. And on all the dimensions, there's a lot more thinking needed. Unfortunately, that is not really happening. And here there are 2 states. If somebody is looking at, say, for example, under the Finance Commission, what should be the real criteria in the modern context wherein India is aspiring to a developed economy? You have to promote those states, contribute maximum to that trajectory to the developed world. If you are trying to push those states, which I call it like, if you are trying to penalize the performers that who actually contribute towards India's mission, we will fail to reach there. That doesn't mean that you should not handhold the laggards. So here is today the relevance of walking on 2 legs, of handholding the laggards, while at the same time locating those champions who could really spearhead the agenda of making India a developed economy. Who are these 2 champions? Unfortunately, there are no clear-cut understanding on that. I have reason to believe that my state has indeed contributed a lot. So, for example, if you are in the Trump period, in the world, the current world order, if you have got an external balance which is comfortable, that is, my state contribute a lot, because 2.7% of the population contributing not less than 23-24% of the total remittance in the country. And if my state is contributing 18% of the total IT manpower of 58 lakhs, which brings in nothing less than 100 crore, more than 120 crore of 120 billion of foreign exchange, that's a major contribution. Similarly placed is Punjab. And here is the state which has made India to move from the position of the begging bowl of PL 480 to food self-sufficiency in as early as in 1971, in a matter of 6 years, with producing 117 million tons of food grains. It's all Punjab's contribution. And Punjab also equally contribute to foreign exchange remittance and other things. So what I'm trying to say that we need to relook at this is a time of rethinking, revisiting, and reimagining, particularly the role of states in the context of fiscal federalism. Unfortunately, we are very, very comfortable to repeating what has been successfully repeated by others and doing what has been successfully done elsewhere. This is the world we are living in. And so in this context, I'm very happy that my dear friend, I mean, I think our friendship is older than many of you. Most of you are not born when we met first. So I think I am sure that, okay, you will also have your such friendship when you reach our age. And that's a wonderful feeling, I must tell you, that we met sometime in 85. And 85, yeah, am I right? Yeah. And that friendship is, in fact, and we had a lot of common things. He went to Yale first, then I followed him, that kind of thing. There are a lot of things to common. So thank you very much, sir, for joining here, my dear friend, and the floor is yours. I also welcome this opportunity to welcome my dear friend Piyush. And I must also tell you that Yada Raja Tada Praja, we had a wonderful, highly inspiring and insightful lecture by your Vice Chancellor, Professor Padma Nair. And this Professor Piyush is also an outstanding scholar, and he works very closely with the Dynamics Network, and he has organized the conference over there. And he's also an economist. So welcome you, sir. I think now the ball is up. Now the call.
Thank you very much, Professor K.J. Joseph, for giving a very elaborate introduction to the speaker as well as to the theme of the discussion today. Perhaps I'm thinking that you have already raised the pertinent issues, need not to be, followed by a lecture. Only discussion should take place. Given this, I feel highly honored to be invited to interact with the faculty of Gulati Institute of Finance and Taxation. When Professor Joseph just reminded that we met in the year 1985, I would like to give you the context that the first lecture at that course where we met in CDS was expected to be delivered by Professor K.N. Raj. Unfortunately, he had a heart attack on those days, and Professor Iqbal Gulati, whose name this institute has been built, he delivered the first lecture. So at that time, we were very young and like you and very active scholars, questioning a lot to the speaker. And I still remember I posed first questions to Professor I.S. Gulati, and a very tall scholar irritated some of the questions which I asked him. And later on, we became so good friends. And Leela Galati hosted the whole bunch of people who were there in the course one full evening. And she had, like a Punjabi host, she hosted all Kerala delicacies and showed that Malayalis are no less than Punjabis. So that started my association with the kind of group of people at that time was there. Almost every professor in the CDS delivered a lecture to us and have a close connection with us. And T.N. Krishnan was the director at the time. And he has a special affection. And, he given me a promise that if I, as a student, he given me a promise that if you will recommend a student, we will take in CDS for PhD program. And when I became a teacher, and prior to that even, I recommended some students and CDS honored my recommendation. So that was the kind of relationship which we have developed. Anyhow, later on, fortunately, we were, brought up in the environment which innovation remained central. And I should not forget to talk about two personalities, K.K. Subramaniam and Professor Mohanan Pillai, who has, supported us, nurtured us. And you will find that that is the India Lex which emerged out of that. And we have been, uh, trying the fruits as well as serving the kind of cause which they have developed. So given this kind of, arrangement, when Professor Joseph came here in the gift, since then I have several times here, and I feel highly honored that I was given an opportunity to be visiting here. So thank you very much for this. Uh, Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Today, I would like to speak on the issue which is perhaps very close to our heart, and we have discussed a lot on this. I will not give you much about this, but my idea is that let us have feedback, discussion more to talk about that, how this can be developed as a project to make a kind of a demonstrative arrangement so that other states people can also join together and have a comparative studies. So that is the kind of thing. I'm not specialist in fiscal federalism, which Professor Joseph is, and you are all. So I will not make much of the claim that I will add anything new, but I will sensitize you that what are the fundamental issues, more specifically far off in Punjab, and you know better than me about Kerala. So I will talk less on Kerala, but more on Punjab and overall what is happening in the country and how we can come out of such kind of things. So with these words, I would like to begin with the this. Yes. So yes, please. I have a bad habit to read the newspapers in the morning. So I thought some news which has come very importantly and particularly it has is some meaning to my kind of understanding. If you see the Chief Minister of Kerala, uh, day before yesterday highlighted that Kerala is no more a state. It is a metro city. I was thinking that I'm going to compare two states, but he says Kerala is no more a state. Striving far to fulfill the deficiency of investment and generate a culture of innovations. I think very rarely a government goes 10 years period of time. So Kerala is fortunate to try to have a one particular kind of government which is nearly completing 10 years period of time. Similarly in Punjab, a one government completed 10 years period of time and the party damaged. Very difficult again to come to power. In Punjab, currently the Chief Minister of Punjab is similarly speaking the language which your Chief Minister is speaking, Kerala Chief Minister is speaking. He is also saying that ideal state, Punjab, a destination for investment and innovation. He has recently toured to Japan and South Korea, and he says that Punjab will not able to, absorb the amount of capital which is going to come. But when I look at the gross fixed capital formation in the state, two states, Kerala and Punjab, are not comparable with India, not comparable with other states of India. And if anybody has studied Harrod-Domer models, they know S over V is equal to rate of growth of the economy. So if you know both the states, why the rate of growth is low? Because the capital formation is very low. I was always advocating that Punjab is on the lowest ebb, but when I looked up the statistics of Kerala, it's no different. 14% gross fixed capital formation of both the states is hovering around 14%. And gross capital formation is exceeding 25% at the national level, and some of the states are more than 30%. Therefore, when we are looking at similarities, I think that this is a fundamental similarity on the basis of which you need not to say that why these states are not performing well in terms of having high rates of growth and raising the per capita income in the economy. I have long-term analysis of Punjab economy. And when I look at 80s and 90s, Punjab's gross fixed capital formation was much higher than the average Indian and giving a higher rate of growth, higher per capita income, number one state. As we have gone down in terms of gross fixed capital formation, our per capita income is going down. Now we are below the national average. Kerala is higher, but below the national average, Punjab. The most important indicator of similarity of Kerala and Punjab is that both the states have early years of, or pioneers in terms of sending people outside the country, which we call as migrants or immigrants. The difference here between Punjab and Kerala is that Punjab people have chosen the countries where largely immigrant become a citizen of a particular country, but Malayalis are relatively wise. They have more love with the state. So they have been going to those states where relatively they cannot stay permanently over there. So therefore, you'll find that differences can be looked into high remittances, both the states, but Punjab is second with a large gap because Kerala is having the highest, but Punjab is second with a large gap of differences in remittances, which is coming. Recent studies conducted in Punjab, which are indicating that now Punjab is receiving less remittances, sending more remittances abroad. That is the primary surveys which has been conducted. Those has been establishing very clearly that the more remittances are going abroad rather than coming to the state. Therefore, you will have these kind of trends. The another very important similarity which I can talk about is that you have also close to water. We have also very close to water. even if we are landlocked, but 3 big rivers are flowing through Punjab, and we have always floods happening in the summer. This summer, a lot of devastation has occurred. Similarly, you have also often the devastation is being occurred by the floods which are occurring here. Long ago, in the year 1986-87, Ashok Desai and I met in a CDS conference at Kollam Beach. At that time, Punjab was under trouble, which was political crisis. And he told me jokingly that Punjab people want more water and Kerala people are already feeling tired because they have more water. So let us exchange people to solve the problem of Punjab. So that means we have some kind of similarities as well as some kind of deeper problems which are similar, but large number of differences also there. But let me give you some idea of some standard statistics which you all see. The one is per capita income, and I have ranked the states in terms of per capita income. If you look at Punjab, its rank is 10th among the major states of India. Look at Kerala is 7th. But today, if you compare both the state with the national average, the Punjab has converged to the average per capita income of the India, but Kerala is still higher than this. Although, if you compare in the 80s or 90s, Punjab was #1 state in India, having 70% difference from the per capita income, average per capita income of India. And during the last 3 decades period of time, from 2000 onwards, we have been converged to the national average and going below now. So that is the kind of change. Yes, it's current, I think, current RBI figures. So now the life expectancy, which is the social indicators. If you see the case of Punjab, it's rank 5th, 72.5. And Kerala is #1, 75. So almost you will find that both the states are converging here. And now you will find that differences are expected to occur because of environmental or climate change, which is occurring. The whole of North India is having a very poor, very poor quality of air. Air quality index is very poor. It ranges between 150 to 300. And in Kerala, relatively, I was surprised when I found that Thiruvananthapuram's air quality index yesterday was 144, very bad. So the estimates which are coming up, that is 10 years life in North India is being lost. Life expectancy is reducing 10%. So that means these figures are older. So now you will find that if you reduce 10%, so that means huge amount of loss of life expectancy in North India. Maybe you are following the suit. So there are not a rosy picture here as well. So this is one has to look into. In terms of poverty, Kerala declared zero poverty. Okay. Anji? Yes. Relative terms there, but okay. So I'm talking about this is a poverty indicators give absolute poverty. Okay. So now absolute poverty is now eliminated, but in Punjab, it was having a lowest poverty figures, but you know poverty is turning back. So this is change because of per capita income is declining, inequalities are going up. So this is change which is occurring. So multidimensional poverty, you'll find that Kerala is almost zero. Okay. So Punjab is having highest multidimensional poverty. These are the figures.
11% is not
from this is the figure. Yeah, but this is where. And Himachal Pradesh is 40. Haryana is 43. Haryana is one of the, leading states in per capita income. 43.
43. Oh, this I never looked at.
Uttar Pradesh is 44.83. 40 plus 41.2. So these are the figures from Niti Aayog. Okay.
Niti Aayog should be taken very seriously. I was very serious about this.
So we have to compare these things and to learn that where we stand.
Yes.
So when in the year 2002, one of my article on deceleration of economic growth in Punjab was published in EPW. And in Delhi, when I visited Delhi in such a kind of conference, everybody is looking at me. Here is Lakhvinder. Punjab is a very rich state doing very well. You are saying that deceleration is happening. How EPW has published your piece? They should not have published your piece because this is the wrong kind of information. I said, we have a systematic statistical figures which are publicly available. Anybody can test. So these are figures which are publicly available. I'm just putting it together so that we will see that where we are. Okay. So then we have the indicator, social indicator of infant mortality. Infant mortality rate, Kerala is number one, which is reduced to very low level. And Punjab is number 5th, is relatively high. But I think that Punjab is quite close, which is now bridging the gap in terms of infant mortality rates. But still, in social indicators, I think this is the most important. So we are having a larger network of healthcare system, but since mid-80s, it is not functional. Doctors are not being appointed, other staff is not appointed, the kind of fundamental medicine arrangement which was expected to be given, that is not. But now the recent arrangement which has been done by the government, the health clinics they have started, that has been covering to that extent some. Which one? Uh-huh. Really?
Because otherwise the national average should be 11. No?
Oh, really? For all the figures? No. Bihar is okay. What about the Rajasthan? Hmm? Look at Haryana. He is checking the figures. Okay. Uh-huh. Yes, you may be. It's 29 to 1921. Yes. So now we can look into it if some corrections are there. We will make. So now we have a credit deposit ratio. Largely, the two states are having deficiency of investment, and we are looking for external investment. This is going to give us a kind of picture that if you have a sufficient amount of savings with you lying in the commercial banks, why you are not able to make a claim and invest more? And more specifically, the finance minister of the state is the chairman of the banking system of the state. So if that finance minister is active and addressing this problem, you will find that we will make a change here. So in the credit deposit ratio, you will see the Punjab is 56.76 and Kerala is 67.6. Andhra Pradesh having 149.2. It keep on changing, but you'll find that somehow it is around this. So that means large amount of savings done by the citizens are not converted into investments. Okay. So if capital formation is low, that does mean the economic activities which are expected to take place are not taking place, which can, claim the credit and then they can make investments. The state government is not having a large projects where these investment can be channelized. Okay. So states are not looking into the available resources with them there. I have a longer kind of understanding in terms of the fiscal federalism when we look at the monetary policy, how negatively it is affecting some of the states of India. I will emphasize on this state, but this is one of the very important indicator to understand that fiscal federalism should not be only looked through fiscal policy. Monetary policy is very important and contributing factor in terms of fiscal relationships. And you will find that the fiscal policy is the most active policy since 1991. It is affecting the development of some of the states adversely, some of the states which are affecting positively. So we have to, as a gift, as an institution, as to take care of fiscal federalism must include monetary policy. Okay. Now, outstanding liabilities is another indicators which is related to your fiscal system. And when you look at the outstanding, Punjab is always number one since the early 90s. And Kerala normally either number 3 or number 2, and West Bengal and Kerala was competing with these rankings. So if Kerala is having 37.2. So in 13 Finance Commission, I was invited to present the states of India as independent experts. So when I made a presentation that the Finance Commission of India should take into consideration the debt stressed states of India, I put up the case of Punjab, not of Kerala and West Bengal. But a long discussion took place during that particular period of time on my proposal. And then you'll find that there was a lot of fight among the members whether this is to be considered or not. They finally did. The chairman told me that we have acceded to your, but we will include 2 more states in Punjab, West Bengal and Kerala. Then we will be able to impress the central government to give them. Otherwise, Punjab alone, they will not give. So that is the time I was able to succeed in terms of looking into that if some kind of change can happen to relieve these states from the high indebtedness, which is actually impinging the fiscal policy of these 2 states. So anyhow, that proposal went through, but you'll find that the central government has appointed a committee, which the chairman, the director of the NIP was given a responsibility to conduct, the kind of conditionalities and negotiate with the 3 chief ministers. And then you'll find a lot of talk has happened, a lot of noise has happened, and nothing was transferred to the states. The reason being the conditionalities were not acceptable. So now we had a conference on innovations. This is the indicators from Niti Yoga on innovations. I know that Professor Joseph and Kiran has already written in Economic and Political Weekly that these indices are having some serious problem. But my understanding is that they are also indicators. So if we look at the indicators and sub-indicators, which I have looked into very carefully, written a piece in Tribune, Chandigarh, which is, I'm saying that Punjab is relatively not performing well due to some of the important ways in which we are not investing in innovations. So therefore, if we look at Kerala's position is number 5th, and Punjab is relatively developed. So that means these 2 states are not leading states in terms of innovations. So if they are not looking into the future engines of growth, which is knowledge economy innovations And I think Professor Joseph has forcefully put forward a lot of input in the government so that direction can be changed. But Punjab is really lagging behind because bureaucracy is not listening. The political leadership is not awakened at all. So that is the kind of fundamental problem where I have been writing as well as directly connected with the government to push forward these kind of ideas. They say your ideas are good, but you'll find at the implementation level they completely ignore. So that is the kind of situation which give you fairly good understanding where we are, and in terms of relative terms, we need a lot of you know uh, uh, data kind of analysis in terms of what each state is going to do, and why some of the states are going up and down in some of the indicators. But fundamentally, I think that the fiscal policy as well as monetary policy, if both taken together to understand where fiscal federalism is going, Kerala and Punjab both are, in terms of debt, in terms of credit deposit ratio, are losing out a loss. Therefore, their multiplier is low. And therefore, the rate of growth is expected to be low in near future as well. So that means you are expected to have a lower per capita income. Okay. And Punjab is also expected to have a lower per capita income. And maybe Punjab is going to be compared soon with Bihar kind of state and all that because it is going to the bottom. Now, you all know the fiscal federalism. Need not to talk about the constitution, very well defined the distribution of the duties to the union government as well as to the state. The change which has happened, which I have been observing, was that the constitution 60-40% of the duties which has been given to the state and the center has more than 70% of the duties now assumed. So you will find it is not only in financial terms, which normally we talk about, the center is keep on encroaching upon your duties also. So that is a more important issue to my understanding that the finance. If your duties are being reduced systematically, that means your finances are expected to be cut. So if your finances are going down, that does mean your duties are also being cut. And tomorrow, if somebody is going to seriously do an analysis of duties and finance, perhaps they will say it is justified. The kind of centralization which is occurring, they say when you are not challenging, when duties are assumed by the center, why you are quarreling for funds? So this is a dichotomy which we need to talk about, think about all these kind of things. So therefore, you'll find that the most important ways through which fiscal federalism actually works, it is fundamentally working through the institutional arrangement. Most important is Finance Commission, and then we had earlier Planning Commission. Now that was not a constitutional body, but now Niti Ayog is also not able to deal with finance at all. But GST Council, which has emerged really recently, that is also a biased kind of organization from the very beginning. And the idea of sharing 50-50% taxes is absolutely disgusting. Why the states have agreed, if in terms of constitutional duties, you have 60-40. So that is the minimum starting point. Okay. But states are expected to do more duties, and therefore 70-30 or maybe 80-20 kind of things should have been negotiated. But 50-50 is really a fundamentally problem. Centrally sponsored schemes are another mechanism through which resources are being shared. I think centrally sponsored schemes are adversely affecting some of the states, facilitating some of the states, but this is a fundamental source of snatching the duties of the state governments. It is not opposed that some of the contributions are to be done by the state and the center. Fundamentally, your duties are being captured through centrally sponsored schemes. So the states should fiscal federalism should talk about that central sponsored schemes are no more acceptable at all. Now, theoretically, you will find that we have allocation, redistribution, stabilization, which is monetary fiscal policy, are fundamentally now after liberalization, not developmental policies. They're actually the stabilization kind of policies which are going to happen. So this is theoretical kind of arrangements, and equity is being ensured through transfer kind of things which are happening. So now we have a debate on vertical and horizontal balances, which is, you are already well versed. Balanced regional development kind of thing is expected to happen. But you can look into that. What are the institutional architecture which has been put in place, where you'll find that how fundamentally this is expected to, fiscal federalism is expected to function. I will talk a little later how biased kind of system is, even if the Finance Commission is a constitutional body. Now, if you look at the kind of fundamental problem which I can call as structural and practical challenges which this, we are facing. First is that the Constitution gives a quasi-federal kind of economy. It is not a real federal economy, which in the theoretical term, which we are usually using. So that means there is a tilt towards, through the Constitution, that the central government is more important compared to the states. So therefore, it is expected that some kind of transfers, when devolution happens, we are actually, all the states are looking for center. So overdue dependence on the central government for finances. So largely when grants are being given, this is not the without conditionalities, the conditions are being imposed. Even if in the theoretical framework, equity principles are fundamental, but you'll find that regional development is imbalanced. So that we have looked into through the various indicators earlier, showing clearly that the developmental processes are happening there. Now, the most important thing is that it is not the central government is biased to the states in terms of federal fiscal relationships, but the states are also biased to the third tier of government. They do not want that authority is to be delegated. I think that the contribution of Professor Gulati when he was in the state planning board was decentralization. So he actually empowered panchayats and local bodies, and the mechanism which he has developed globally, has been talked about. That is the kind of different kind. But most of the states in India, and Punjab is one of the states which is not believing in principle the 73rd, 74, 5 amendment. So that means local governments are not empowered in terms of finances. They are also dependent. So there are a lot of administrative gaps, both center state as well as local bodies kind of transfer of resources. So federalism actually is not, in a real sense, is functional. Rules and regulation which are devised are not functioning. So we are actually in a crisis. Now, when we look at some of the points which need to be emphasized when the transfers, devolution of resources are expected to happen. Two states have some of the very important contribution to the national economy, and they have we have a state specificity. Some states are contributing more to the national economy, others are doing less. For example, that if you look at Punjab is a landlocked state, but the longest border with Pakistan, and that is always alive. So already we have witnessed 2 full-fledged wars on that border, and any kind of tension occurs, you'll find that some of the areas evacuated. So you cannot have normal activities like that. If you remember that when this government in the center, Modi government came to power, since then the trade through Wagah border is closed. Huge amount of investment has been made. It's like, full-fledged trade can happen with the other countries in the Gulf and all that, but you'll find the road trade has been completely blocked, especially when something happens in Jammu and Kashmir or something like that. So what is important is that Punjab, as per United Nations concept of security, they define human security consists of two factors. One is the defense, which is you have to protect the national boundaries. So Punjab has a bigger responsibility for a longest border. But another is the food security is also a part of the human security. United Nations define human security of two very important elements. One is that the defense and another is food. So therefore, Punjab is providing both to the nation, which is not being provided any other state of India. This is a distinct kind of contribution which has been provided. And because of these two things, the larger proportion of deficiency of investment is happening. If your border is alive, your relationship with the neighbor is not normal, and you close down the trade, you'll find that people pull out an investment from that particular state. And new investment. The FDIs usually do not come because of the risk factor. So therefore, you'll find that the risk factors are important. So that is creating a deficiency. Now, Kerala has also a very huge investment made over a long period of time, and the country is having more reap the advantages than the state can do, because that education has an externality, and we know economic theory, which is endogenous growth theory, talks about that if you have better human capital, that can have externality which can prevent diminishing return to scale to occur on capital, and therefore larger advantage goes to the country. So that means when we look at when I look with the simple indicators, you go to any state of India, you will see the schools which are opened up, they belong to the people who are from Kerala. Large number of teachers have gone to provide primary to up to plus secondary education and quality education. Okay. If you go to any Christian school in Punjab, Haryana, Himachal Pradesh, there is a B line, you cannot get admission. So quality is so good. And second important thing is that if you look at most of the hospitals, the nurses, the care, medical care, health care is being provided them. Both are giving externality. And you'll find that this is neither reaped by the individuals who are serving, nor reaped by the state who is producing. Therefore, the human capital produced has a huge advantage to India, but never compensated, never considered in transfer of devolution of resources. So that means we have very important things to do. And I think more important also, you have a sea around you, and trade is facilitated, faster trade can be done, and central government reaps a lot of advantage because all taxes collected from there are not given to the state at all. So therefore, you'll find that those kind of fundamental problem which one has to look into more carefully, the kind of fiscal federalism in a narrow sense which I have defined and people talk about, we have to need a wider kind of indicators to be included in a fiscal federalism, which is required to incorporate, and then you have to reflect upon and devolution. And I think you have to go back and recompensate those states which have suffered over a long period of time, because Higher per capita income means that you are collecting your taxes and then other states which are backward getting more advantage out of that. So that means double disadvantage you are giving. More taxes to the central government, more externalities to the national economy, and less you are getting. So that is the kind of dichotomy which one has to look into carefully. Now, let me give you what has actually happened to Punjab, why Punjab has been a dysfunctional state. The fundamental factor is that if you look at from the 1947, there was a division of Punjab. Punjab suffered a lot because the population has to be swapped, and a lot of turmoil has occurred during that particular period. A lot of human loss has occurred. As a consequence, a lot of property has been, lost. So even the productive organized economic activities in terms of industry has been devastated because of the skill base has gone to Pakistan. And then you find the people who have come from there, they were not entrepreneurs as well. So therefore, you'll find that the kind of loss which has occurred, but uh, the state and the central government together restored the state in terms of providing all possible help, and bureaucracies, the leadership, political leadership was so wise at that particular point of time. They have rehabilitated the people who are uprooted and put them into economic activities and restarted the state along with the Green Revolution, Pakra Nangal project, and first state in India which was electrified. All the villages electrified. That was the first state. First state to have the road network to each and every village. Okay, to bring the food grains to be lifted. So such a massive kind of infrastructure in which it was invested, that was reflected in terms of higher capital or gross fixed capital formation, as well as the higher productivity, higher per capita income, and Punjab was actually generating a surplus on the revenue account. Okay, and in the mid 80s, there was some kind of crisis, which economic crisis converted into the religious kind of crisis, and turmoil has occurred. That has almost damaged all the uh, developmental institutional infrastructure in the state. The well-functioning, efficient educational system was collapsed. The healthcare system was collapsed, and you'll find that bureaucracy has, started collecting money, uh, and it was the tax money was not going to public exchequer; it was going to the private pockets. That practice continued till date, has not been dismantled because there is a gridlock between three forces. One is political leadership, second is bureaucracy, third is police. Nowadays, when the new government formed in the last 3 years, they started, stopping some of the police activities to not be extortionist, and they have created a turmoil in the state. And the political leadership was fearing, and then they have allowed them to have a huge amount of corruption which they are indulged in. So therefore, you'll find that now police has a strong connection with the political leadership. You might have seen recently a DIG person has been arrested by ED. Huge amount of money was caught from his farmhouse. He was expected to finance the elections, and then you'll find that he was caught, and it's shown that how the political leadership is protecting him, and how they are connived with each other. So that is the kind of thing which is happening. So fiscal policy since the mid 80s turned, from bad to worse, and therefore a revenue account surplus has turned out to be revenue deficit, and it continued till date. Even from the last 30 years period of time, continuously elected governments are in power, but they are not able to reverse this. So this is a pity, and we have a huge amount of accumulated debt because we are borrowing even for day-to-day activities, what to talk about investment. So when we borrow, you can see the situation is 92% of the borrowed money goes to debt servicing, and rest is going to be in salaries and all that, and then you'll find that no money is left for capital formation. So we are living in an age of cooperative capitalism. The union government, which is powerful, is not able to understand what real problems are and how to address those kind of problems. So therefore, you will find that the uh, fundamentally, not only Punjab, most of the states in India are suffering because a large proportion of the money which has been collected is being spent in their own way by the central government. So 62.5% of the total expenditure by the states are being done, but access to 37% of the revenue. So that means you have little access to the current resources, but your responsibilities are very high. So as a consequence of it, almost all the states are borrowing, and then you will find they are spending. So some of the states like Himachal Pradesh is also going in debt. Soon you will find that Haryana, one of the highest per capita income states, is also going to the debt kind of situation. 14th and 15th Finance Commission recommended devolution of 42% and 41% respectively of the tax revenue, but actual transfers stagnated at 29% and once peaked 36.6% 2018-19 single year. So you can see this is a kind of, huh? Yes, yes. So what is fundamentally we have to look into is that increasing role of monetary policy in the post-liberalization period. The states which are having small units of production, the organization of the production structure is small in nature, both Kerala and Punjab. You will find that the monetary policy is largely adversely affecting because their borrowing capacity is very low. If you have looked into the credit deposit ratio, continuously the smaller units are borrowing from informal sources, not from formal sources. Okay, it's very difficult from the formal sources to borrow. So therefore, this is reflected through the credit deposit ratio. That means you have own savings which are higher, but investment is not there. So convertibility of savings to investment is not occurring. That is a fundamental problem. So we have, as we have talked along Pakistan border, it is always alive, and adverse impacts are happening. So international relations with Pakistan are not going well, but deliberately, sometime you'll find that the kind of from the last 10 years period of time, you have to show that especially local domestic Muslims are in trouble. Similarly, you'll find that Pakistan is to be blamed for everything. So even you'll find that nearly 20% of the population is Muslim, and they are not allowed from the last 10 years to engage in without fear in economic activities. Therefore, when we talk about 2047, we are going to be a developed country. I believe that if 20% of the population has a fear, not able to invest and participate in economic activities, you cannot have that goal achieved at all. So we have gross fixed capital formation very low, which I have already talked to you. The production structure is also a fundamental problem because it is serving the nation. Food security, we have a lot of problems because of that. Even we have exhausted the groundwater, and the groundwater is contaminated and it is not fit for human consumption at all. So it is a production structure which is resource depleting, and environment is becoming bad to worse. And you'll find that there is a lack of capacity to bear the cost of change. We do not have individually the cost to change. So that means you need help of somebody else. And in a federal structure, none other than the central government should come into the help. But that is not happening. This is not happening in Kerala. This is not happening in Punjab. So let us look at more closely to the monetary policy, which we have to look into where monetary policy is adversely impacting the various states of India. Some are positively. We have studies conducted even one of my own students conducted a study on monetary policy of Indian states, how monetary policy, national monetary policy is affecting Indian states, has reached to the similar kind of conclusion which has been done by a professor from Bombay University who has done in the early 80s and 90s, and we have done in the recent years. And over a long period of time, we have seen that the monetary policy at state level affecting differently to different states of India. And some of the states which are having a small unit of production, they are adversely affected. So therefore, you'll find that Kerala and Punjab has to look very carefully what is the impact of the monetary policy on the not only the all alone. So combined together, adverse impact of both fiscal and monetary policy has a huge impact that is showing up in terms of low level of per capita income and all that. Now, these states are having specific contribution to the national security, human security, food security, and foreign exchange. For example, 1 billion US dollars, highest in the world remittances are coming to India. And two states, Kerala number one, and a distant second is Punjab. So both are contributing to that. That means the stability which your exchange rate for a long period of time is having, and nowadays is a problem, under problem, rupees under problem because a large amount of investments is being withdrawn. That is our own creation because of the kind of international relations strategy which we have been able to devise. That has backfired, and you will find that the earlier strategy which we have abandoned, which was paying dividends, and that is the kind of blunder which has been committed by the. But instead, if we look at input indicators of environment, such as forest cover, ecology, air quality, you will find that Chandigarh and Delhi forest cover may be same, but air quality differs. So that means it is the economic activity which is taking place in some of the states. We have to look into carefully, and then we have to look into that. The air quality is also very important index which need to be included. Cess and surcharges are fundamental problem because 20% of the gross tax revenue, which is is being reaped by the central government, it increases the pool, reduce the centrally sponsored schemes, and that is actually I recommend that zero centrally sponsored scheme should be there. Why actually the federal government has to enter into the economic activities which actually state conducts? If you see the central sponsored schemes, center has not developed their own mechanism to conduct those schemes. Why state governments are conducting the central government schemes? And some of the schemes, the central government give you the idea that this is the temporary kind of people you have to keep. And then, after that, the number increases. They ask the state government that we need a state kind of a security system and all that. And state has to follow because they have to take votes. So that means you have a double burden of the centrally sponsored schemes. So we should recommend that, no centrally sponsored scheme should happen. If happens, then it should be the consent of the state government. Okay. So the most importantly, the monetary policy dividends, which are being transferred annually. This was the minimum figure which has been given, but increasingly the monetary policy is generating a lot of surplus, which is being transferred to the central government and non-shareable. So this is now, if monetary policy is not coming under, devolution of resources, that means the adverse impact of monetary policy is being done to the states. Money is being, collected, but not redistributed. So that is also very important for us to understand. So now what we have to do here is to talk about what are the probable solutions which these states like Punjab can talk about, because debt is fundamental problem, that fiscal policy is not working and not functional. So debt relief is expected to happen. Many ways are there, and the international standards are there to talk about moratorium can be done. You have the swapping of the debt kind of things. In future, you can postpone, and so that states can recover the developmental process, and that can be done. Most importantly, if you look at the credit deposit ratio, if I have done some calculation over a long period of time, the deficiency of investment is keep on accumulating and rising. So central government is expected to compensate to the extent that the capital formation of the state should recover to the national average. So that is the amount of resources given to the central government, so that this should be done. So investment deficiency package is expected to happen, and we have to reduce dependency on agriculture in a planned manner, and diversification, look into more kind of interlinkages among the sectors of the economy need to be generated. So a large amount of resources are required for this. Now, when I would like to reach to sum up what I have been expected to talk to you, the fundamental thing which I would like to now talk to you is that the system need to be changed. How we can articulate to change the system? Devolution process is adverse, negative in some of the states of India like Punjab and Kerala. So what is important is that if you look at the Finance Commission of India, which is a constitutional body to devolve resources, its terms and reference are only decided by the central government. State governments are not consulted. So the constitutionally it is independent body, but is fundamentally dependent on the central government. So the members who are going to be appointed, chairman who is going to be appointed, it is by the central government's wish. Okay, they do not consult states. They cannot say that state can nominate, for example, ask states to nominate members. Out of that, you can collect appoint 5 or 6. Okay, why not? Some mechanism to be democratic mechanism need to be developed, so that when they will submit a report, they must look into that states have needs. Okay. So it is actually becoming a obedient body to the union government or the central government. So it is not independent. It should be independent. We have to find out a mechanism. I have suggested one, but there will be several ways. You know better than me. So we will discuss on this. So the another very important issue I would like to raise is, can state government should have a say in terms of reference and appointment of members of the Finance Commission? Should it can be regular body rather than term-based commission? So therefore, you'll find that we would like to talk about, this is one, but many other ways the monetary policy need to be brought in the kind of under the regime of the federal relations, rather than you'll find that keeping it independent from the kind of preview with it. So thank you very much for listening to me for such a long. Thank you.
I think you started with an apologetic note saying that you don't know public finance, and you turned out to have delivered incredibly insightful lecture, and the manner in which you have started with 2 states, specific context of Kerala and Punjab. And in understanding that dynamics, you have brought in the broader institutional context in which these states and other states operate, and the plausible future directions in which we need to, as I said, reimagine or rethink the institutions. I think you have done a wonderful job. I think you deserve another round of applause. So I think I personally feel that by sitting, I was actually thinking that your Vice Chancellor has told that he would love to have an MOU with us. And I mean, not he didn't tell me, he wrote to me after reaching there. So now I think we must, it is very, very important that such comparative studies are undertaken, and it is a need of the day, and any informed policy making needs much more. You have actually covered such a wide cross section of issues. In fact, I must tell you that I have also, we have a lot of similarity. In fact, I articulated the 4 different actors in a fiscal federal system, drawing from the innovation system perspective, how the actions of one actor benefits others while they get similarly. For example, you said the human capital that Kerala generates benefits the nation. But the state government has borrowed enormously. 59% of the salary goes for creating teachers and doctors. And nurses goes out, instead of producing 100 nurses or 100 engineers, if we produce like Maharashtra 100 metric tons of steel, state government will get tax. What we produce are not tradable. They move out. They bring foreign exchange. So what I'm trying to say is that there are reasons to kind of articulate the current, the debilitating conditions in which fiscal federalism in the country operates. And we need to rethink, not for the state, for the country. It is not for the state alone, because as our own prime minister, who happened to be a chief minister turned prime minister, who knows the pains of the state better than anybody else, he made, when the states grow, India grows. When states grow, India grows. And I think we must also, the state chief ministers also should start to learn to say that when the panchayats grow, the state grows. And panchayats should be made to grow. And it is something terrible to know that I'll stop here. I don't talk. We are having enormous savings, as Professor Lakwinder rightly said. In their case, almost 40% of the savings goes out of the state. In our case, almost more than 35%. Now it is high. Otherwise, it used to be much higher. I mean, 40%. Now it is 37, 33. And our chief ministers are going to Japan. They are going to Dubai. They are going to Germany. Where is money? Where is money? The money is here. And you should have the local, and they, with all the difficulty, they bring the entrepreneurs over here. Here comes panchayats. Don't do that. Don't do this. Instead of that, ask the panchayat. Instead of chief ministers running for attracting, when the states compete, panchayats also should compete to attract more investment. And we must ask them, what is the employment that you created? And what is the GDP that you created? You also borrow 3% of the GDP, no problem. You also borrow. What the center gives to us, you give to the panchayats. Anyway, what I'm trying to say that let us think of a kind of a research agenda between these two. I mean, your university and we will do, and we will think of a seminar maybe here or in your university. Maybe with next year we'll do that. I think the floor is open. Thank you very much for this highly inspiring lecture. It's very, very insightful and inspiring. And it has, you talked, raised a number of issues. Quite a lot of them are not, I mean, we are not gone in depth. So I'll open the floor. I know that all my colleagues have worked on all different aspects which you have talked about. They will have something to add to you. Thank you. Over to you. Thank you.
Hello, sir. So in your presentation, you mentioned that is monetary policy is also influencing fiscal federalism. So unlike this fiscal authority, monetary policy is only having a prime instrument in its hand, that is the rate of interest. So how by changing rate of interest and money supply, this could have an impact on fiscal federalism because it is basically dealing with division of resources between various levels of government. And also one more thing, sir. Does the concentration of small scale industries do make any adverse impact with respect to monetary policy? Because like, as you have also rightly mentioned, in case of small scale industries, majority of funds are coming from informal sources. They're less dependent on banks for credit. So does it have an impact on, like, are they likely to be affected by a change in monetary policy more? So that's all, sir. Thank you.
I have a question about the Punjab economic transformation since we have introduced the agriculture transformation happened in Punjab Green Revolution. Is it that legacy of Green Revolution led to the current crisis, some crisis faced by Punjab, like the soil deterioration, agriculture over dependence of the economy, that type of issue, and also the fiscal stress due to the farmers, loans, loan waivers, that type of issues still existing. And so, does that reforms, stagnation in agriculture reform is a reason for this crisis, fiscal issues? Also, if India also facing many issues in agriculture area, and many other countries have successfully transformed their agriculture concentration from just focusing on few seeds or few variety of farming to large varieties like Brazil or USA had a successful transformation in agriculture sector. Is it that type of policy transformation not happening is a reason for Punjab this now scenario? The growth has been stagnant.
No, thank you very much for raising two very, very important questions. I think that when we look at the monetary policy, we should understand that monetary policy is operating through the banking system. The rate of interest is one of the very important indicator to determine the supply of money supply and demand for credit. But more other important variable, institutional variables, which we do not understand, are also, done here through the banking system. As you say, and I have also talked about, that small scale production, when approaching the bank, they have to produce large number of documents. But bigger multinationals or bigger firms, corporate sector, they have a lien with the banks. They have a small proposal and get loans immediately. Okay. And even if those loans are not never returned back because they put up a proposal that we have failed, project is failed. Okay. They never have started and it is failed. So they do not return back the money. The fundamental problem is that small production structure states of India could not utilize their own savings. Since rate of interest is determined by the monetary policy, these states where larger projects are happening, they get at a low rate of interest those savings transferred because we have a unitary banking system. The bank is not operating within the state boundaries. Okay, they can have a branches somewhere else, they can lend money there. So now bank needs some kind of transactions to get going, and they need some kind of higher rate of interest where profits can occur. So they have to spend a savings, collect saving, and then make an investment. So investment goes to some states, and savings are the other states which are not utilizing those funds. So this is the monetary policy mechanism. If a monetary policy says that first priority of the bank, which is established in a particular state, only there they can give loans, so problem is going to be solved. Okay. So when your banks are unitary banks, can, collect savings from a village, invest savings in a city. So that means you are bringing resources from the poor or backward regions to already which are developing regions. So this is generally happening, imbalances of development processes happening, backwash effects in economic literature, which we are usually talking about. Human capital, all savings, and other resources, raw material are going to come from there. So in a way, the monetary policy proceeds collected through this process as well as earned from the foreign exchange, okay, which belongs to states actually. Why the central government is not sharing those? So therefore, you'll find that you have to look into the second very important issue is deficit financing, from where it comes. From the monetary policy, supplementing you. Okay. So that means you are printing notes, incurring deficit. Deficit actually in the debate has been considered is not a monetary phenomenon, it's a fiscal phenomenon. But the proceeds of that phenomena only goes to the monetary policy and not redistributed. So therefore, you'll find that monetary policy is very important in terms of looking into federal fiscal relations. Okay. The informal sector, as you have talked about, is covered that small sector, informal sector is very important, which is not able to borrow the money. So that we require bigger amount of investment projects where the Kerala and Punjab has to, use their own savings rather than, going abroad and bringing more saving pressure. Joseph has emphatically talked about this. Now, Green Revolution technologies have substantially benefited to Punjab as well as to the national governments, to all of us who are sitting here. Now, the fundamental problem is that if one state is caught in a particular structure through investment process over a long period of time, which we have made, now time has come when other states are relatively more enablers to produce food. Therefore, Punjab needs a diversification. But why it is not happening? Because re-switching the production system is a huge cost. Because sunk cost already invested is very high. Reinvesting in sunk cost is another big task, which a single state cannot do it. Therefore, what we require is for diversification, the massive amount of money is required to be invested by the central government to change the process. Okay. It is not only the marketer farms will do it. That will, create the conditions which are already there. The farmers are committing suicides. And they are continuously committing suicides. Kerala has observed and stopped. Okay. Maharashtra is doing, Punjab is continuously, farmers are committing suicide. Every day in the vernacular press, you will find one or two farmers have committed suicide because of high indebtedness. Their revenue is very low because the agriculture production, the productivity, physical productivity is very high, but the value is very low. So the cost to produce is very high, but the realized value is very low. So they are almost incurring losses. And therefore, when accumulating debt and debt relief is not coming, so they have to commit suicide. Okay, that is the kind of conditions which are. So to change it requires a huge amount of sunk cost. That is not probably possible. Punjab has proposed twice, thrice to have a diversification policy connected with the central government. Central government refused because they say we need food security. Okay, so it's a need of the central government. Punjab tried but could not generate the enablers, and policy failed. So that is the kind of thing that's happening.
So you have mentioned about the idea of not having CSS schemes. So, but now when we look at the transfer of resources, CSS forms an important channel through which resources are transferred from union to state. So when you advocate the idea of abolishing CSS, is it like we should concentrate only on finance commission transfers, or we should devise some alternative pathways for transferring resources from union to center?
I think that when total pool is expected to be redistributed, there the amount kept for centrally sponsored scheme should be given to the states directly. Okay. So that means the Finance Commission of India should not give the more money to the, for example, 42 from, why not 80% of the money should be transferred to the states? Why 18%, 20%, 30% of the total amount of proceeds, shareable taxes, you are only transferring less than 30%. So why not 70% should go to states and 30% will remain with the central government?
An extension to that point.
Yes.
Insightful lecture. You were talking about the centrally sponsored schemes part. You were talking that the center should give 70% or 80% to the states, share with states. But is that practical? Central government has their own other responsibilities. They have to protect the boundaries. Defense expenditure is there. So there are so many responsibilities with the central government. That is one point. And another point, I was thinking about, always we are talking about getting something from center. We need to get more share. We need to get more money. But we are not talking about the expenditure rationalization, but how the states are spending this money. Always the money that we are getting from the center, we are using for paying our debts or salaries or something else. But there is actually capital accumulation, capital expenditure is not happening in the states. So in my point, in my thought, I was thinking that if the Finance Commission can propose some other funds, with some conditions that the state should spend for the capital expenditure part, that will be good. That is my thought. I was thinking in that way. So that is my another point. Yeah, that's.
This is very valid point which you have talked about. I perceive that your way of thinking is going to promote more centralization. Now, let me talk to you. Now, when you talk about that the conditionalities on the states should be imposed, that means you do not believe on a democratic system. The central government is also voted by you, and the state government is also voted by you. So people should get answer from the political leadership when you elect them. Okay, where you are spending money, why you are spending the way you are spending. So expenditure rationalization should be there in the states itself, and people should participate. So people's participation is very important. We should not ask the central government to impose restrictions on a particular state or all the states of India. So we are democratic. We should believe that the political leadership we are electing, and when we are electing and in the post-election also, we can question. Okay. So that means your own responsibility, you are shouldering your responsibility, somebody else is going to take over. Okay. So be democratic, believe in democratic values, and trust that you can make a change. So expenditure changes must be done by the preferences of the votes which are being casted in favor of a particular party. Okay. The rest of the things is important, that the kind of amount of money which is being received by the central government, the constitution have a clear division of duties and expenditure responsibilities. It is 60-40. Now what is happening is that more of the duties through centrally sponsored scheme are assumed by the center, states' responsibilities are being reduced. This is number one. Second is, the revenue generated by the states and central government is assuming more and more revenue is centralized. Okay, collection, for example, GST, earlier all sales taxes were collected by the state government. Largely, they have kept the state taxes with the state, and some are going to the central government. Now, 100% taxes are collected and 50% taxes are going to the central government. Why? And these taxes are first deposited to the central government and then come to the state government. More centralization, because if state government is not in good terms with the central government, they block 3 months amount of money and they are not giving you, and state government is on the verge of collapse. Okay. So that is the, and then you have to borrow, and borrowing is a cost. That's why the debt is increasing in most of the states of India nowadays. So I think that the rationality of dividing duties and the rationality of dividing the resources must be have some kind of symmetry. This is the asymmetric relationship which is taking place. But nowadays, because states are questioning that more resources are to be transferred, so they say more responsibilities we are also transferring. So you cannot question now. But you say constitution should be taken care of. Duties should not be curtailed, okay, and resources should not be curtailed. Although the central government is also very important, constitution has also given responsibility and duties. Those duties they are not doing efficiently, but they are more towards assuming the responsibility in the state. For example, cooperative sector, why they are interested to take cooperative sector under the central government? New ministry has been generated, all cooperative earlier were of the state subject, nowadays it's a central subject. Why? So that means the interventions and the political processes of the state are also, your vote to the state government is going to be nullified. If your state government is not able to get good resources, even if you have preference to a good party turn out to be a bad party in your state. So your state political leadership is also junked in this process, which perhaps the implication never talked about. And central government, because of centrally sponsored schemes, considered to be Modi's everywhere, giving to the females, and all that the females are voting when Modi goes to state. And adverse impacts are very visible to all of us. Today, the 50% tariff imposed on India is unexemplary anywhere in the world today. Why the Indian citizens are not questioning that why this is happening? If it could have happened with Korea, all the people would have been on roads and asked the prime minister, president of the country to resign immediately. They have done in the past. 2 presidents they have replaced very recently. So Indians are more tolerant, and finding out faults somewhere else, the real faults we are not able to find. So center-state relationship are going much beyond the financial relations. Okay, so you have to look into that. It is affecting you very seriously. So when you talk about that central government should be given more power, or a particular body is given more power, that means your power is going to be exercised by a commission which is not elected. Thank you.
Sir, actually, I'm not a Modi person. I'm not promoting the. No. I was thinking that okay, we are getting 50 or 60 or 70. You are getting, but some amount you have to spend for capital accumulation. I was thinking in that way. If so, we will get some more, and for the capital expenditure part, we will get some more. That was my point. But
no, let me
one point.
Yes, let me clarify the issue which you are talking about. Look, for example, the states which we are talking about, their capital expenditure was, Punjab's capital expenditure was higher than the national average. Why it has gone down? Because access to resources has gone down. Today we are hand to mouth. For example, go to a poor family who is not getting 30 days work regularly, asking him to eat full meal of food every 3 meals in a day. From where? If you do not have money to purchase 3 meals in a day, how you will force a person to eat 3 meals in a day? So over a long period of time, you have reduced the access to resources. For example, the restructuring of taxation system has been done in a manner, the larger amount of municipalities which are getting octroi, they do not have no power to impose tax. Panchayats have no power to impose tax. Okay, so then from where resources are going to flow from center to state and to the panchayats. Okay, so if you are getting from earlier 40%, 50%, now you are getting 30% or less than that. And your own power to impose taxes has gone down. From where the resources will come. And those who are not doing capital expenditure, they do not have resources actually. Howsoever rationalization of the expenditure you will do, you will not get much of the resources until resource pool is to be increased. You have further question now.
Yes, sir. Good afternoon. Good afternoon, sir. Am I audible?
Very happy to see Professor Moore over there.
Thank you.
Great.
I want to congratulate Gift and Professor Lakwinder Singh for a nice comparison of Punjab and Kerala economy. I just want to know only a single point. Is there any benchmark indicator which we can take out from comparing the two economy, which can serve as a benchmark for other states?
Can you please repeat the question? That's what, yeah.
Sir, I am just asking a single benchmark with the comparison of Kerala and Punjab economy, which can be applied to any other economy in Haryana, any other state in Haryana, whether it's human capital, financial management, or informal sector, or any sector.
So if you look at the social indicators, you will know that Kerala for a long period of time is dominating on the health related social indicators.
Yes.
Despite the low per capita income, they are able to raise the kind of human capital indicators to a very higher level. I think we should learn from the Kerala experience in that context. Now, in the first experience of the Punjab economy prior to mid-80s, we have a strong experience of in terms of generating resources and increasing the gross fixed capital. And then you'll find that having a higher dynamism in terms of converting the resources into industrialization process, structural transformation, which has done at that particular period of time, which reversed over a period of time. So I think that is the structural transformation which should have been taken as one of the very important lesson from Punjab economy.
Yes, sir. You're right, sir. But on one front, you can see in Kerala, due to higher human capital, the human capital applied to abroad. That is called brain drain. In Punjab also, there is a flight of people that may be brain or maybe worker. What are the circumstances or the body condition responsible for it?
This is actually not a dichotomy. It is actually the opportunities for employment was not relatively created. I will remind you, if you look at the Amartya Sen's concept of capability generation, he has emphasized in his book, Freedom of Development, Freedom as Development.
Development as freedom.
Development as freedom. So he has talked about that capability generation is easy, but if you are not using those capabilities, you are losing the capabilities forever. So he has argued simultaneously producing, building capabilities and using those capabilities as a simultaneous process. So I think this is where you'll find that country as a whole and these states in particular lagged behind.
Okay, sir. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Kiran, I think we must conclude.
Okay, sir. So thank you for a very persuasive presentation and your assertive suggestions have provoked us enough.
Bit too strong.
Yeah.
It's okay.
But good, sir. I think it's this very important that one.
No, in any bargaining, you have to catch hold of the dhoti so that you get at least a kerchief.
So, regarding the CSS, I would like to extend the point. So, how I see why is the share of CSS is increasing is in the context of the sustainable development goals. That's how I see it. Because if you also see the trend, right when India joined, or right when its SDGs were declared, and soon after that, Government of India had to do all the compliance for meeting the requirements. And if you also see, many of these goals have been linked to the union government transfer schemes and so on. So that is, I think, the underlying reason why union government is imposing, saying that it should be meeting the national development priorities. But what is missed out in the process was that there is a huge misalignment between what is development priority for Government of India as a unit compared to different states. All states have at different stages of development. Therefore, the priorities are also different. So that misalignment is what is, I think, creating the friction. Because, for example, you see Kerala is already achieved. Kerala has already achieved many of the priorities that SDG has set as targets. Now, Kerala is not able to take advantage of those schemes that the union government is putting forward in terms of a ratio of 50-50 and so on. So what one could suggest, maybe I will not go to the extreme that you went, maybe we can take a somewhat a leaner view, say that maybe states can present to union government the development strategies of the particular state and state union government financing them rather than that 50-50 mode.
I think that liberally,
approach more this planning commission approach.
Partly, I agree with you that the kind of centrally sponsored schemes we usually talk about that one size do not fit all these states because development levels are very different. So in the process, if you do that like that, some of the states which are advanced, they come down, and those states which are backward may not come up. So I think this is a dual disadvantage kind of thing which has been done. What I'm emphasizing is the resources should be transferred to the state and autonomy should be given to the states. You may give goals, but a goal should not be binding. More specifically, if you look at the UN Millennial Development Goals and then Sustainable Development Goals, Millennium Development Goals were failed a process. Sustainable development is also failing, okay? Almost to my understanding is has failed. So therefore, you'll find that the global kind of developmental issues which has been talked about, they should be aligned and adjusted to the local level kind of situation in each country because country is not a uniform kind of processes. So I think we have to dismantle the centrally sponsored scheme, which is one size fits to all, okay, which is not happening. Actually, in our earlier talks at New Delhi on Punjab, the secretary earlier, the chief secretary of Punjab has given calculations how Punjab was losing because already we have developed some of the infrastructure to a very higher level. So we are losing that money because we cannot claim that money already things are there. Similarly, the state like Kerala, which is a relatively developed state, in many indicators, you are not able to claim because you do not want to invest more because already you have done. For example, rural roads, Punjab has already every village metal road to from 3 sides. To each village, 3 roads are going approaching to one village. So it's a complex of all the road system. So then you talk about Pradhan Mantri. So that we are not able to draw those kind of. So the fundamental problem is, I think that the priorities can be fixed, the goals can be fixed, but finances should not be, bind. No. Finance should be given without any binding on it. Okay. Freedom to finance transfer is to be given, and then states should be, using those resources, and people should question. It is the authority of the people to, question the government and replace the government, change the government, or redirect the government to do those kind of things. Look, in terms of Punjab nowadays, the farmers get together and redirect the government that you cannot do these things. Even they have done the central government that you cannot pass those laws which are adversely affecting all the states of India and all the farmers in India. So that is the kind of thing people should have a power. So what we are doing is we say central government is higher and that should assume all the responsibility, direct the states. I think that should not be, it's the people who should direct the development process. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. So I do agree with you that this centralization of power, be it political or otherwise, is not good for the society at all. But then there are serious allegations on count of fiscal prudence on the democratically elected state governments as well. So then how this, instead of, I think the emphasis should be more on empowering institutions, mechanisms and processes than per se enabling kind of state governments, because they are also very prone to this type of mismanagement and the things which we are at times attributing to the powers at center.
No, I think this is a very important issue to be talked about. When I look into the kind of the expenditures which has been made by the state governments and the central government, similar kind of anomalies you will find in both. For example, when people talk about that this government of a particular state is devising a particular program to transfer some money, which we call as freebies, more emphatically, the central government is doing the same. So therefore, who can discipline? It is the people who can discipline both the center and the state. If we are thinking that central government is more wiser compared to the state government, this is not in effect true. It is the people's priorities, and people should participate in a democratic processes. I have several examples to use from various countries of the world to show that where people are active and participating in the political processes, there relatively these kind of problem which we are discussing never occurs. Okay, so they keep the political leadership on tenterhooks. They actually honor the institutional framework. If you look at the institutional adaptation, the institutional arrangement, perfect institutional arrangement is already constitutionally available in the states. The only problem is you are violating the functioning, you violate those institutions, and you damage even those institutions. For example, in India, planning, the election commission is damaged, Supreme Court is damaged. So to take the name of ED, all these kind of agencies are almost, vanished. Okay. When those are able to function, if people are participating in the process, and then they clip the wings of the political leadership, and those institutions are going to be more important. So nowadays, what is happening? We have given more powers to a particular government, and that is damaging all our institutions. And therefore, you'll find that similarly in states, the things are happening. The people are not vigilant and they are not shouldering their responsibility. And more specifically, role of intellectual is also very important to build the institution, to destroy the institution, support the destruction of the institutions. This is also happening. And we know that educational institution, what is happening over there. So institutional arrangements are there. How you, allow these institutions to function autonomously, independently. But I think the most damaging thing is that if you are not giving finance, or you give finance with conditionalities. Thank you.
Okay, I think it was indeed an very interesting discourse and seminar. I'm not here to summarize or anything like that. It is going to be a difficult task. I'm not going to. But I want to just say to all my colleagues, particularly who are concerned about, we have got 9 pillars in our research agenda, in our research pillars: public revenue, public expenditure, debt and deficit. Then you have got local finance, fiscal federalism, financing development. Then we have got national finance, corporate finance, national finance, and legal framework. So 9 pillars. Each one of you, when you look at the data, take a special look at Kerala and Punjab. Take a look at an eye on Kerala and Punjab. It's going to be an interesting case. And within a year, we would like to have a dozen of papers on this. And we must work towards that. And such comparative studies are going to be the foundations of strengthening Indian fiscal federalism. And comparative studies in which you all in your left side, Punjab to study Kerala and Punjab should come in our website. Will come. Okay, I think that will be the impact of your lecture. And we are very much, I must say that, inspired, enthused, and challenged by you. And that is what you as a senior scholar could do. Wonderful. Thank you very much. Let's give a big thank you. We have formed a lot of things. Okay, who is doing that? You have specialized that.
Good evening, everyone. I should say that the lecture is both enriching and thought-provoking, especially because the amount of questions and discussions evolved from the arguments that you have put forwarded. It is really helpful, especially the way which you have portrayed the distinct strengths and challenges of like particular states, Kerala and Punjab. So also from there, you have pointed out the abysmally low private investment, which is concerning for both the states. And of course, about the fiscal federalism implementation part, both the states are concerned about it, like the way in which it has been implemented in the country. So all these issues have been discussed in our floor as well as in various academic forums, but the way you have connected the economic indicators and development indicators to the fiscal federalism and telling that the wider scope of there should be a wider scope for fiscal federalism arrangement in the country. So on behalf of Gulati Institute of Finance and Taxation and everyone present here, a sincere gratitude to you, sir, for the awesome and wonderful lecture.
Thank you, Shri.
Yeah, I would like to thank Professor Piyush Verma, who is also from Thapar University, for your kind presence and engaging discussion. I would like to thank our director, Professor KJ Joseph, for initiating such discussions. And I would also note the presence of Professor Surendra Moore, who is the secretary of PATS. Thank you so much, sir, for your intervention. And I would like to thank all the online participants and all the students and faculty members who have initiated the discussions and engaged in this fruitful discussion. I would also like to thank the seminar coordinators, Dr. Kiran and Dr. Geeta. And I would like to thank Varun and Abhilash for the technical support. And finally, it was a really fruitful lecture for everyone. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Okay, thank you very much. Yeah, we'll sit here for 5 more minutes.